Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch. Yeah. Buy our merch indeed. You guys want to say hi to the people? Okay, come here.
Hi, people.
Hold on, you're going to come up here. Now you can say it.
Hi, people.
So there is this, I do. Okay, you guys say goodbye. Say have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Say God loves you.
God love you. God love you.
All right, you gonna go with Zoe now?
Yes, I'm gonna go with Zoe.
You love Zoe?
Yes, I do.
Say yay for Zoe.
Yay for Zoe, Mom. You'll get us Peter.
Yep, that's my computer. That's telling us what songs we're doing next. Vinny's gonna be right back, you guys, so sorry about the temporary hold up. Okay. Alright, buddy, you gonna go with Zoe? Go get changed. I love you. Bye now.
No.
Okay, go with Zoe.
Do you have a diaper on?
Yeah, but I was like, you better go get them because it's a little
It's about that time. Evil ass kid.
Bye, Zoe.
All right, here we go. Opeth is next.
Alrighty then. Yep, that always did look nice on you.
Oh boy, here we go. I don't get it, but maybe I'll get it later.
All
right,
it's
the
our
wacky
DJ.
tours you can see up there, losers. Here we go, guys. More Opeth on the way. This song is called
Moon Above,
Sun Below.
Interesting.
DJ Wacky Tour. Let's see if Opeth can go 2 for 2 or if Vin is going to go into his bipolar ramblings again relative to progressive metal. Let's do this shit. I like the visuals. You get the hiccups. This is due to your mini-sins.
Whoa. That was crazy, that switch.
Down. The devil's breath and
fucking deal.
I can't remember the sun upon my skills, slave to a sorrow is whispering with me. I'm always waiting for you before I sleep. There is no comfort in the distance that we
That's a yes influence. That's yes. Right? The harmony. I just figured it out. That's a yes influence, dear listener. Wow.
Their guitar work. I love it.
It's like some Mexico shit.
Oh, yeah.
Cerveza.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Make
yeah.
that shit happen.
Some are dying fast. This can last. If nothing ever lasts. When a forest of flesh, there's a need to sever myself away from you.
There it is. Opeth, was it Sun Below, Moon Above? Or Moon Above, Sun Below?
Yeah, it's Moon Above, Sun Below.
Moon Above, Sun Below. Okay. Looks like this is talking about First of all, what did you think? In my opinion, I thought the song was a minute and a half too long. But
yeah, there was parts of it that felt too long, but not that ending. I loved that ending.
It didn't contain the things that like trigger me relative to prog. I just don't like. I think it was Dream Theater. I don't like the 58,000 notes in 5 minutes. Like, so there's a little, but I don't know. I felt like the interludes were a little bit more thoughtful. Like, and again, like you still need a lot of skill to do those 5 minutes. You absolutely need to be extremely talented to do that. And you know, what do I know? They've sold millions of records, so it works for a lot of people. Me personally, I have issues with it, but that doesn't mean it's bad stuff. I love that like Mexican feel. Yeah. With the guitar.
I didn't even realize it was a Mexican feel till you said it. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, it was like.
I like that sound.
You know, in 1999 is when I discovered Korn at Woodstock. But there was this, I think it was Enrique Iglesias was the name, was the guy.
I was a big fan of him.
And he would a lot of his music had that like Mexican guitar type.
It did.
Like to this day, was it? Matter of fact, shout out to Opeth. I
listened to Hero so many times.
I'm gonna put that song on there. There's a song like I Just Want to Be With You, blah blah blah. All my life, I just want to be with you.
Oh,
but
yeah,
it was
yeah.
He was playing that Mexican feel on the guitar. So I love that shit. But, you know, it just shows again the complexity of the music. Don't compare Korn to Opeth. I mean, obviously, I love Korn miles away from Opeth. I mean, as far as like, I mean, they're obviously skilled. I mean, they're a skilled musician. They're good. I like this song. Especially like I said, like the way they opened the song was absolutely insane. It was beautiful. I was waiting for kind of like that heavy switch like they did before. So I was waiting for that, but you know, it wasn't there. Korn doesn't even compare to Opeth. Well, yeah, I mean, they're different genres of music, my guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand what you're saying. They're different genres of music. I don't think that... You know, the more I play the instrument, the more I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, you can choose to do that if you want. Like, once you figure out a couple concepts theory-wise, a lot of people can do that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I had this conversation with... For me, it's about the song. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really... Obviously, your skills are important, but, like, can you write a good song that moves people? There's a difference between being a guitar virtuoso or a drum virtuoso and then writing a good song. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the difference between, you know, a basketball player who scores a bunch of points, like Carmelo Anthony scores a bunch of points, but never won a title. Doesn't know how to win championship games. Like you can be a certain skill level and not do well. Although Opeth, to me, from an objective standpoint, combines both. They're able to make, in my view, good songs and display guitar mastery. There are other prog bands. I've already mentioned one of them.
Yeah, I see what
you know
you're
what I'm
saying. Yeah. Whenever their guitar work starts, I'm like, wow, I could just listen to that guitar all day.
Yeah. It's
the vocal style in this one was not my thing. Like the vocal style was a little odd, I thought. But then when he got to the end and he was doing of course he only did it twice, but only circles on the water part. That kind of whispery, like, I really like that part. I was like, I could have listened to him say that a bunch more times. That would
about the circles on the water?
Yeah, just the way that he did it and just the way that those sounds. See, that's the interesting thing about sound. Like, you know, they have sound therapy and there are certain notes that are, I guess, universal. And that when they're played, people feel certain ways.
Like the effects are universal?
Yeah, like the effects that, like, it just, you know, it inspires something or or bring something out of you. Where there's also sounds that like give another type. I mean, they use crying babies for torture tactics and stuff like that. Like that hits us all in a sort of like jarring way. Even as a mom, like when your kid is crying, I mean, it doesn't feel like a torture tactic, but it feels like I gotta move, I gotta do something about this, you know,
100%.
like it doesn't. But then there are
100%.
certain sounds that just kind of make you feel like just sit back, just chill, like experience this, and like some stuff brings something out of you, some stuff makes it feels like it's actually healing you. It's just very interesting. The first line of the song I thought was pretty crazy.
The other thing was fascinating is it looks like this is a confrontational song about some religious figure, but it doesn't have that anger that you feel, you know, like usually you feel when you're going after a religious person or whatever. Like it didn't have that kind of rage, but it was just kind of, it was interesting. What were you thinking about the lyrics when you heard this?
Well, the only part of the lyrics that I even paid attention to was a couple of spots. So you are sleeping unhampered by guilt. I'm assuming that that's going to be talking about the figure that you were just speaking about. But like when I read that line, I was like, it's so true. Like there's a different way that you sleep and you rest when you don't have something on your chest that you need to get off, you know? Like I remember being a kid and having things like, okay, I got to talk to my parents about this, you know? And then the way that you felt after you discussed it and you talked about it and you know, figured out a kind of solution or whatever. And I just thought, man, you know, there's got to be a lot of people that have guilt that they don't know how to get rid of. And the way that would affect you over time, over years, like sometimes I think we do things and we're like, well, fuck it, I don't care. But then as time progresses, you do begin to care. You do begin to feel the effects of what you did or who you hurt or whatever. So, and there's a Bible verse, and I couldn't remember it, but it was something about the sleep. And I don't know if it says, look, like watch the righteous man and his sleep is sweet, or if it said the opposite, or I just remember there being something in there about the sleep of it, just talking about sleep. And either it was the righteous guy and how he's able to watch him rest. Look at that guy rest. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And obviously none of us are righteous.
He gives his righteous sleep.
Yeah, that's not the one I'm thinking of. But I'm not going to be able to think about it on the spot. I mean, I could barely remember a couple of very important things today. That baby brain is like really active today.
That struggles real on that shit.
I was like,
boy.
no. Anyway, so
real.
Then the other part that kind of, with the moon above and the sun below, obviously that's like flipped, you know, because the sun is above and, you know, I don't know, the moon kind of, I don't know.
Well, it's not flipped, the moon
it's
is
not
also
flipped,
above
but
too.
yeah, but it feels like the moon feels like more like it comes from below and the sun feels like it comes from above. Like, I don't know if it's because of the temperature or the way you experience it or whatever. So it was weird to hear it said like that, but yeah, I guess they're both from above, but, and then the last part that I paid attention to.
Is it when you lie down, you'll not be afraid? When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet?
What? Who? It literally talked about.
Righteous.
Yeah, that might be it. Of course, I always read King James, so that might be the one. But it.
Do not love sleep, or you will grow poor.
Stay awake.
Stay awake, and you will have food to spare.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah,
you were saying this is about a religious figure?
Well, yeah, it seems pretty obvious. And of a lifelong throne of sub-religion in verse 2. Mm-hmm. He says, you're sleeping unhampered by guilt. Come the morning you shut down. The devil's breath is a disease on your lips, reaching out for your loss. You prey on your flock. There it is right there.
Yeah.
So this is a religious dude who preys on his flock.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Oh, yeah. Seeking out the weaker hearts with eternity in your grip, and of a lifelong throne of sub-religion, they will eat from your head.
Oh my gosh. What?
They will eat from your head.
As in, all these ideas are coming from you, and they're feeding off them.
Yeah. This is your ideology. It's not.
Yeah.
Misery got pulled over. Well, I'm glad the encounter went well for you, Misery. You're still here. Holy shit. That's hardcore right there.
What, was he leaving to go get something to eat?
He got pulled over by a cop, and then he took care of the cop situation and went right back to his Vin and Sori. Good for you, Misery Head. Okay.
Oh, man.
Seeking... it's funny, like...
Holy shit, look at that lyric.
What?
I can't remember the sun upon my skin, slave to a sorrow that is whispering within.
Okay. What did you get from that?
Well, just... For me, like, the sun and the way that the sun affects me, which I think is like this for a lot of people, it has a very positive effect on me. And when I feel the sun on my skin, like, it makes me feel like everything's going to be okay. We're going to be all right. We're going to make it out of this, whatever it is, whatever the situation is. It's better because the sun is there. And when he's saying, I can't remember the sun upon my skin, like, that feeling of not remembering how good it is, and then he says, slave to a sorrow that is whispering within. To me, that just sounds like depression or whatever, like, is holding him in. It made me think of depression and the sorrow that comes with it, and it's whispering inside of him, and it's keeping him from doing what's necessary to get him feeling better. But I mean, we're in the middle of a story and a situation here that we're talking about, and I just happened to see those lyrics, and I was like, wow, it's just crazy.
Yeah, the moon above, sun below then would be...
Yeah, Alan, I feel like that too.
The darkness. Right? Like, you've put the sun below, and maybe the sun below is also a double entendre, that you've taken religion and put it underneath where it's supposed to be, underneath your feet, essentially, so that you can, manipulate people into doing what you want.
Yeah. And
then the only thing that's above is the moon, because that signifies the nighttime. So this is a dark person.
Yeah.
is kind of, or like this guy is he flips everything so that, again, he's standing on the sun, like he's above even that, and that the consequence of that is that it creates a situation where what's really interesting, though, is that when people talk about cult leaders and things like that, like, one of the things that I saw was that there is a certain kind of drive within the human nature to want a cult leader.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, it's pretty weird.
I remember feeling like being in certain situations and being like, yo, these people want to give me so much authority over their lives, and my opinion of them becomes definitional of who you are, and it seems to me that people, there is a kind of bent within people that makes them attracted to those kind of situations. And I don't know if it's, the closest I could come up to theoretically is God showed up to the Israelites and they were terrified, and so they said, we'll just have Moses speak for us. You go back and forth, we'll just follow you. Like, it just looks like human, like, we want God and we want a relationship with God, we want a relationship with the ultimate authority, but at the same time, he's invisible, a human is visible, so now I can, okay, that guy is, you know what I'm saying? Like, so people kind of, you have to I used to say this to you all the time, like, you have to actively fight against people's impulse to make you that, if you're a certain kind of personality type.
Yep.
You have to really, really, really fight against it. And a lot of people, from the outside looking in, like, they're like, wow, that must be great, all those people, but it's a crazy thing. It's a really, really crazy thing.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, people think, oh, that's just for religious groups. Look at those religious people, blah, 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 following that one person. But then you hear stuff about, like, an artist puts out a song, and then somebody ends up ending their own life, and they try to blame the artist for the song they put out for the person ending their life. And you're, like, kind of like, wait a minute. So you thought that person had that level of influence over your kid or your whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a crazy level of influence, and everybody would have an immediate problem if a pastor had that level of influence over somebody and people recognized it. They'd be like, that's a bad place, your kids shouldn't be there, blah blah blah, F religion, whatever. But it's weird when it's coming from, like, a musical standpoint, and how people can be very, like, gripped and worshipful over musicians, you know what I mean? Like, and you see it all the time. I see it, like, some of the ways that people, sometimes we get backstage passes, and you know, like I haven't been watching these people for years and years, so to me, I met them as just like people that play instruments, so I don't have that like awe or whatever sort of feeling that people would normally have.
Yeah.
So it's weird to be like that and see the faces of other people and how they're reacting to these artists, like, and see how the, like, I mean, like that one guy that like he went flying onto the stage, and then like that was a very funny interaction.
We're at the porn show, and we could say the guy jumped on stage.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Jonathan said, "Bad idea, bro."
No, that wasn't the story.
When security came and shoved the guy off the
but
stage.
That too. No,
are you talking about the Rage Against the Machine one? Yeah.
The guy came on, and then like their security guy had to like come flying at him and like knock him off the stage, but then ended up hitting one of the band people. I don't know. It was just the situation was kind of comical to me, but like the idea that you would even have to have security because people are that crazy and obsessive over you is like, I don't know, it's pretty crazy, but I feel like it goes along with that, like people want to worship somebody.
Well, that's
they want to have somebody to that degree.
But that's what I'm saying is that that's inherently destructive. That's why all these guys have to have security details.
Right.
They don't need a security detail because of people that hate them and want to kill them. They need security detail from people who are obsessed with them and want to, touch them, and shit is, it's pretty crazy. But that's the impulse within the human spirit to worship something, and there's lots of reasons that I believe in God, but that's one of the main ones I see, is that I'm like, we have an impulse to constantly worship something or someone bigger and better than ourselves. Like it's just in there, and I don't really see any evolutionary benefit to that. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't really see a very big and to Wackatoy's point, dime bag. Like this shit is
Yeah.
That one was interesting. I guess the kid said something about Pantera broke up, you broke up Pantera or whatever, and ended up killing him. But in this situation, the difference though with rock icons is that they don't come in saying they're speaking for God. They're just out here to play metal and do the shit that they love, and on the way people end up becoming obsessive about them. But that wasn't their goal. Their goal was just to play music.
Yep.
I think like with cult leaders, like I said, when I was in the situation, like if I wasn't like focused, and I wasn't, I didn't know that people had that propensity, I could have easily fell into that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so in this right here, where it's like you preying on your flock, seeking out the weaker hearts with eternity in your grip, like this guy is the one that's like dispensing eternity for people. So like that's one of the major other reasons why I find the Christian Jesus's message so fascinating. Because if you really look at it, it takes out that kind of control. Because what it says is, if you believe you have eternal life, you're saved by grace apart from anything that you have done. So if you're saved only by God's grace and mercy, aside from any of your good deeds, if a person truly believes that, then no religious person can control them. No religious leader can control you.
Yeah.
They can't say, "Hey, if you don't do this, you're going to hell." Sorry, that's a work.
Yep.
So
did say something in there about eternity.
Yeah, it says right there, eternity in his grip.
Yeah.
On a lifelong throne of sub-religion, because a lot of people mistakenly believe that the religious authority, and again, I'm talking in a Christian context, that the religious leader is the determiner of who goes to heaven or hell. That's not it.
Yeah.
It is, do you want a relationship with God? You have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ, and you function as a child to a father or as a bride to a husband. You don't function as an employee that's constantly trying to get in the good graces of your boss because you don't want him to fire you or whatever. Right. You are an adopted son or daughter, and anybody who knows anything about adoption, especially when you're adopting older kids, there's the period where the kid gets adopted, brought into the house, and he's acting all crazy. One is he just got out of the orphanage, and two, because he has no parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of those guys have rejection issues, so they're going to act out, be all crazy to see if I'm still in the family, right? And then after a while, the kid takes, the last name, and then the kid starts acting like everybody else in the house. But there is a real period where that shit ain't happening like that.
Absolutely.
So, but it's a good analogy of like, okay, like you're adopted into God's house, and so like, we met a lot of grimy, rough street people and show up to church like high, fucked up, crazy shit. And I believe they had a genuine experience with God, but it didn't happen overnight. Some people, there was some, night and day changes almost immediately, but it generally doesn't happen that way. And I remember one specific time, one of them came to me and they were all upset. We just baptized her, and then she was crying. I said, what happened? And I knew what happened, like immediately. Like I just saw her, I knew exactly what happened. But she told me, and I said, she's like, I just got baptized and I did this. I was drinking with my friends, blah blah blah, and I wasn't being a good example and all this. And I'm like, man, I said, did you think God didn't know that before you went under the water that you were gonna do this 2 weeks later? You think he was any less proud of you when like you're his child? Like, I as a religious leader could have been like, hey, but like because a lot of religious people do not have enough faith and love, so they try to use fear to motivate the engine of change. Yeah. Because love takes too long. It takes too long to germinate. It needs a lot of photosynthesis or whatever for it to really get full grown, whereas fear is immediate. You put fear in the ground immediately, it sprouts up a forest of terror. So a lot of people try to use religion that way, especially in the Christian understanding. But if a person truly believes, no, my relationship with God is completely secure based on my faith in Christ and not on anything I've done, I can no longer control you via fear. So and what does Paul say? The love of Christ compels us. Yep. What compels you, what's supposed to run the car is love for God and love for neighbor. So Paul says, the love of Christ compels us because one died for all, therefore all died, and he died for all so that those who live may no longer live for themselves, but for him who died for them. So if a person is getting that message, then you'll be insulated from religious control. But this guy is obviously not preaching that kind of message, because he's got these people, he's terrorizing them with his religion. And of all the people in his organization that should feel guilty, it should be him, but he's completely fine. Yeah. He's completely fine.
Yep. He's sleeping well.
But he's terrorizing everybody else. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think that some religious leaders use their understanding of human nature in that all of us are born sinful. We're all born sinners. And so that means that even as a child, before you even know really what they're doing, they're already trying to do stuff for their own motivations. And I mean, if you have kids, it becomes very obvious. Anyway, so like here you have this guy who has this understanding of human nature, and it would be like if you lived out in the middle of nowhere and people had to drive past your location, and you knew that there's no way for somebody to have a gas tank big enough to get them from point A all the way to the next gas station, and so you sell barrels of gas for a very high price because people cannot survive without it. They need it, so you can just completely overcharge them. And you have an understanding of human nature that people are going to sin, and that as much as people want to do what's right, they are going to do what's wrong. And it doesn't mean that they're always going to do what's wrong, but it does mean they're not always going to do what's right. And so some religious leaders will use that and use the desire in someone's heart to want to do what's right and to be right before God as a way of getting from them what they want and upcharging the gas, so to speak. Yeah. And so that obviously is really, really, really terrible. I mean, we've seen documentaries of religious groups that do that even with kids. Like, and exploit children and get things from children that they should never take from children.
Yeah.
And they use the fact that they're holy and a child needs that holiness. And it's just really, really, really sick. But when you have that, when you have the understanding yourself and you know for yourself because you've studied the material yourself, then that changes things and it takes away that power that that person has over you because you realize, wait a minute, this was already taken care of.
Right.
There's a gallon of gas in the back of the trunk.
Right.
You know, and so I think that that's something that people need to recognize is that God, he knows that we're frail. He knows that we're sinners. He knows that we're going to do craziness, whatever. So there's forgiveness for that and whatever. Like it's not a person that forgives us. It's God that forgives us. I mean, obviously we need the relational forgiveness of like, you know, if you hurt somebody that you love, like you need that. But
yeah, people will come and tell me all that. I'd be like, yo, you don't report to me, bro. Like, but people are, you know, and some of it was, you know, they wanted guidance and things like that, you know, which is cool. If you're a little bit down the street, you got a little bit more insight. But, you know, people are in this mode that, oh, this guy's the religious leader, so I got to tell him all my, and then he'll give me a prescription. You know what I'm saying? Or it's a lot of it is just training people to go to God directly.
yeah,
You don't need an intermediary, you know. But I actually like the song because it wasn't like I don't feel like this song, hey Marie, I don't feel like this song was disrespecting religion. I feel like this song was calling out folks who are, you know, use religion to control and exploit people.
But I think that if you really love your religion or you really love your God, then you would say a song like this is necessary. And I'm glad that it's here because it's pointing out an obvious issue and an obvious problem that even, you know, like we don't agree with that.
Don't agree with what? Oh, what this guy's
doing to people.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I mean, I like the message of this song. What it sounded like, I wasn't as big of a fan of it. But it was still good. It's going to be an 8.3 for me.
Like I said, I was waiting for that shift like in the other song and it didn't come, but I almost feel like I respect the band more for not going there because it's so easy to just be angry and yell and scream at religious people. It's metal. It's been done before. He kept kind of like a level. So I actually gained a lot of respect for that kind of methodology in the song. So for me, I like this song better than the previous song, which I'm very surprised to say because it's a prog song. And you guys know how I get down with prog. I don't care if it's a DJ stream. I don't care who wants it. I don't care. I'm going to be real. But I truly did like this song. This is a 9.4 for me. I really, 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 really love this. Really good song. 9.4.
All right.
There you are.
Right back.
There you are, dear listener. The moral of the story is trust Jesus so that nobody can control you. Trust Jesus so that nobody can control you. There you go. Vin out.
Sori out.
Go. We got more on the way. So is the fact now as a mother I am doubting the teaching of witchcraft to my children? Well, I mean, obviously I'm going to say that, you know what I think, Michelle? I think you should read the Gospel of John. Mm-hmm. And then what you should do is, after every chapter, send us an email and tell us what you think.
If you are not familiar with the Bible, you might feel a little bit confused because there's John and then there's 1 John, 2 John, 3 John. We're not talking about the first, second, or third. He's talking about the one that's just called John.
Yeah. And
it's going to tell you like about Jesus, kind of starting with his ministry. So you'll know you're there when you find it.
All right, guys, commercial break. We shall return. We have, I was going to say Big Toe, but that's not the name of the band.
It was something like
Toe Hider. Toe Hider is the name of the band. Giants Who
Walk with Man.
Giants Who Walk with Man is coming up next. DJ Wacky Tour doing the business, dear listener. We shall return.